So thinning your paint is actually quite important because, well, if you buy any type of paint, generally it's going to be quite thick or have some type of goopy texture about it whenever you buy it. This is the most cost efficient paint I got in like a 24 pack from Walmart. But anyways, if you take a look at it as soon as you open it, it's straight goopy, and if you know anything about airbrushing, you'll know that you cannot accept some goopy mess to be put into your airbrush because it will not go through the gun efficiently. And so that is the reason why acrylic paint must be thin generally whenever you buy it. So you're going to want to mix your thing. You're going to want some type of container. You're going to want something to mix your paint with. So in this case I'm using a toothbrush, which is quite unheard of, I would imagine. But you're going to want that, and you're going to want something to wash whatever you're mixing with, like a container filled with water, a separate container like a cup or something. And even on the container, it's not anything special, it's just some glass container, some thinner, some paints on the obvious tip. So anyways, orange. It looks so much lighter on camera, but it's actually a little darker. So anyways, I showed you already. It's a bit goopy, a bit thick, but what we're going to do, we're just going to lay the cap to the side somewhere, and we're just going to dump all of the paint. Make sure you get all the paint out. And this is why I use a toothbrush. I use the butt end of the toothbrush to get it out, so I don't have to worry about bristles capturing it as much as it would. Take your separate container filled with some liquid, water, cleaner, whatever. Rinse it, and you're gonna wipe it down, keep it clean. Take some water, pour it in there, like so. And just a little guiding tip, you're going to want to start with maybe like a 1-to-1 ratio of water to paint, and then, or thinner to paint, whatever you want. Then you just mix it in, and do be patient with it, as you know, you gotta actually mix it. We're making sure that there's no clumpiness in the paint, no inefficiently mixed paint, where it's like some goopy, some liquidy. I make sure that it's all well mixed. Once you're done mixing it, it should look something like this. It should be quite unresistant to flow. And so to test how efficient your paint is at this point, like how resistant to flow it is, you want to make sure that there's not a high resistance to flow in your paint, or else it's going to be hard to paint with it. Now, look at this. So as you see, it flows fairly well, and that's good. You can actually pass this off as a good paint to use, and you know, it's partially preference, what you're willing to work with, what you're not willing to work with. But me, I like to go just a little thinner, and that's just because it's my preference. I happen to fall on the thinner end of that spectrum. But anyways, to test how, I'd like to see how thick or thin, how resistant your paint is, how you do, dip your mixing utensil into the thing. Pay attention to how fast the paint falls from the thing, and usually if you get a lot of drips, then that, you know, obviously it's not sticking on the brush as much, which means it's not very resistant. If you have major clumps on the brush or whatever utensil you're using to mix, then that means that it is very resistant to flow, which means it's clumpy basically. That means that it's going to be resistant, it won't work well in your airbrush. It being very low means you might get tons of water spouts when you're shooting it from your airbrush. So you don't want it too thick, you don't want it too thin, you want to make it your preference in between, which is suited to your preference, suited to your airbrush. So find that thing in between. So there you go, that's your mix paint. This was a tutorial about doing that, but I'll show a little more. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually put the paint back into the container, you know, like that. Also a tip, if you're going to put it back into the container, it's just a lot less complicated. If you let the paint free fall into the container you're going to put it into, a lot less messy. But anyways, got that. And since there's some excess paint off screen, I'm just going to shake it a little. Make sure all the paint is in there and well secured and all well balanced. And I'm going to take this paint, put it into a bottle, and that's how you do it. If you liked it, like it, subscribe for more content, of course. Make sure you ring the bell icon so that you are notified whenever things are uploaded so you do not miss out. Other than that, have a great day. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.